Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to News Dose. So over the last week, there's been a lot of questions, and quite frankly, there's been a lot of concern surrounding the Xbox Studio, the initiative, and the upcoming Perfect Dark reboot. Well, about that, we have now gotten an update that actually gives us a little bit more details about some of these departures, and for gamers, it actually is sounding like it's not all that bad after all. So we're going to talk about that one later on in the video. And then also, I know some Nintendo fans have been wanting more third-party support for the Nintendo Switch. And well, a big game was revealed yesterday. And surprisingly, not only will be heading over to the Xbox and PlayStation, but also the Nintendo Switch as well. This is definitely an exciting one, so we'll go over that one as well. As always, though, if you are new to the channel and you want to stay up to date with all of the gaming news, make sure to hit that bell notification, subscribe, and like button below. It does help out the channel a ton, and I greatly appreciate it. Other than that, though, let's just go and jump right into things, starting off with Triangle Strategy. So Triangle Strategy has launched in a very busy time of the year, I guess you could say. I mean, really, if you start to look at the first part of 2022, it's basically the new holiday months here. I mean, we're talking about good game after good game after good game releasing so far this year. I mean, you have games like Pokemon Legends Arceus, then a couple weeks later, Horizon Forbidden West, and then, as we all know by this point, Elden Ring. I mean, you're talking about some truly fantastic games here, but there's also some other good games that's released in this period of time as well, because we also have Triangle Strategy. Triangle Strategy, unfortunately, might not be getting the same amount of attention as some of these other games, but the good news here is that Triangle Strategy, despite all these other big games releasing in a close proximity, Triangle Strategy has still released to a lot of success. It has now been announced that they have officially sold 800,000 copies since its launch just earlier this month. It did release on March 4th, and to see it already sell 800,000 copies in just 2 weeks, that is a very good thing to see. This game has been received well, with it having an 82 overall score on Metacritic. It seems like it has a pretty strong story, and I think for fans of those 2D HD games, to see another game like this receive some success, that's a good sign for the future, as it will surely encourage Square Enix to do more games like this in the future. I just have to say for myself that it is good to see Square Enix make games like this, as opposed to live service games that they seemingly continue to push out and have little to no success with. So maybe they could take a little bit of a lesson with Triangle Strategy here. Nonetheless, though, big congrats to Square Enix and the Asano team. Next up, we do have another update to talk about for Elden Ring, but this time specifically for the Steam Deck. The thing about Elden Ring is, for as great of a game as this is, and as you all know, I honestly do believe that this game is a masterpiece, but at the same time, one of the big complaints for Elden Ring has been with its performance, especially over on PC. While not everybody has had problems with the PC version, and in fact, a couple of the people that I've talked to in person, they've told me that they've had no issue with Elden Ring on PC, but at the same time, there's also been a lot of reports about stuttering on the PC version. And what that means is that ultimately this comes down to optimization. Unlike consoles, PC does have a lot of different setups, which means it's a little bit harder to optimize specifically for one device on PC, but that's kind of where the Steam Deck comes in. You know exactly what you're getting with the Steam Deck, so you can actually very specifically optimize for that device, and that is what Valve has done with Elden Ring. Yes, Valve themselves decided to optimize Elden Ring for the Steam Deck. It's probably a smart decision considering just how popular this game is right now, but yeah, reportedly they've been hard at work and they've actually improved performance for Elden Ring on the Steam Deck. So if you are having some issues on PC and if you have a Steam Deck, this might actually be a pretty good option here. And I think this does just kind of show you some of the benefits that the Steam Deck has. With it having that dedicated hardware similar to something like a console, you can actually see developers maybe specifically optimize their game for the Steam Deck in mind. And actually, we are seeing some different emulation groups as well do this, such as Dolphin as an example. So this is one nice benefit for the Steam Deck. Next up, we do have an update on Goldeneye once again, and there definitely seems to be something happening with this IP. We've been talking a lot about Goldeneye over the last couple of months, and I mean, at one point, we saw Rare developers, they were unlocking achievements for a new Goldeneye game. So it does look like that remaster that got canceled years ago might actually finally be releasing. And that's the thing, because now all of a sudden, amidst all of the rumors, a trademark has suddenly popped up online. 9. Yeah, you can take a look over here at this report from Video Game Chronicle, which states that a trademark that allows the term Goldeneye to be used for downloadable electronic game software has been granted a second extension this week amid speculation about a 007 Goldeneye HD remaster. Yeah, isn't that interesting that this just suddenly happened right now? Again, it very much seems like something is happening with this IP, and now we're just kind of waiting for an official announcement. What we do know for a fact is that at one point in time, Rare had developed a GoldenEye HD remaster, but unfortunately Nintendo blocked this from actually releasing because they had some type of publishing rights for the GoldenEye game. They did publish this game back on the Nintendo 64, and apparently they did not like the idea of it releasing on Xbox years later. But things have changed a lot since that point, because now Xbox and Nintendo, they have a pretty good partnership, and a GoldenEye release would actually benefit both if they work together. Nintendo does have that Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack that they're trying to sell, and well, GoldenEye releasing on Xbox, I mean, they could release this directly into Xbox Game Pass. It could have an online component, and that would be a very, very nice inclusion. So both could obviously benefit from this release, and because of that, I think that they might be working together to bring this game back finally after all of these years. Of course, that's just speculation, but it definitely seems like something is happening with this IP, and hopefully we will get an official announcement sometime here soon. But what I will say is that for you GoldenEye fans out there that have been waiting all of these years to play this game again, hopefully with online play, it does seem like something is on the horizon. Now, speaking of Xbox, we do have an update on the initiative and the future of that Perfect Dark reboot. This has been a big and ongoing topic all week long, as the Video Game Chronicle earlier this week did report that a large portion of the initiative staff has actually left the studio. Obviously, this is not a good look, and it has caused some concern for the state of the Perfect Dark reboot. And I can completely understand that, but now I've been pretty adamant about this situation, because if you read into that article, I feel like that there's a little bit more going on here. We'll kind of get back to that here in just a moment, but we have now since got an update from Jez Corden over on Windows Central. He's been doing some research into the situation and has talked to some of his sources, and it is now being claimed that the initiative staff has left because a difference of opinions on how to proceed with Perfect Dark. One side apparently wanted to be small and agile, while the other wanted to be bigger and bring in Crystal Dynamic. So we know how this played out, and we know which side won here. The side that wanted to get bigger, make Perfect Dark into a bigger game, and build it out faster, they brought on Crystal Dynamics, and that side of the studio is reportedly very happy about the situation, and the Perfect Dark reboot is actually in a good state and is proceeding as planned. However, the other side that wanted to stay small and agile and have more autonomy, which was reported in that original article, well, they unfortunately were left unhappy and have since left the studio. Now, on one side, this is actually being described as a potentially positive thing for Xbox gamers, as the development for Perfect Dark seems to be in a good place. It can also now be a bigger game, and it can be built out faster, which again, these are good things for Xbox gamers. However, the unfortunate part about this, and this is where I think the initiative had made a mistake, is that it is an unfortunate situation for that side of the studio that wanted to have more autonomy. They wanted to stay smaller. And the reason I say that is because it feels like that there was some type of lack of communication here. If you take a look back at that VGC article, and this is something that I've zeroed in a lot on over the last week, and that is that Daryl Gallagher, the head of the studio, very specifically said that in creating the initiative, we set out to leverage co-developer partnerships to achieve our ambitions. And if that is true, that means that that was ultimately their goal, to eventually bring on a co-developer. And if that is the case, if it is absolutely true, then why is there a portion of the studio that is upset about this? Did they know that this was the ultimate goal, or did they not? That's where it feels like that there was a lack of communication, and why some of the studio was not happy about this overall situation. Nonetheless, it does seem like at the same time, the people that remains at the initiative, they're very happy. The development for Perfect Dark seems to be going well. And this is some of the reasons that I said the other day that I was not worried about this overall situation. For one, Crystal Dynamics is a very talented studio. They've also worked with Daryl Gallagher before on the Tomb Raider reboots. But on top of that, and this is something that I did say the other day, if these departures happened before Crystal Dynamics came in, then I would have been concerned, because that means that the game is probably in a bad state and then Crystal Dynamics is coming in to save the game. But because that report said that the departures coincided with the inclusion of Crystal Dynamics, to me that made it look like that there was a disagreement with the inclusion of Crystal Dynamics. And that is something that they said in that article. They wanted more autonomy, and well, they're just not going to get that with Crystal Dynamics coming in. It's just an unfortunate situation, I think, for that side of the studio, but ultimately for the gamers here, it looks like that this is potentially a good thing. Perfect Dark will develop faster, it can turn into a bigger game, and so on and so forth. So I don't think that you have to worry about the development for Perfect Dark per se, but at the same time, hopefully the initiative can avoid situations like this in the future and maybe communicate their vision a little better. That will be something interesting to follow though, because beyond Perfect Dark, I'm very interested to see if the initiative is going to continue to do these co-development partnerships. Are they truly a studio that initiates projects and then eventually brings on another studio to help them flesh it out even more? Or is this just a one-time only thing? I mean, I guess we're probably not going to get an answer for that anytime soon, but it will be interesting to see what they do for their future projects. But for the time being, the good news here is that beyond all of the drama, it does seem like that Perfect Dark reboot is in a perfectly fine state. On to our final topic of the day though, Sony did hold a PlayStation State of Play yesterday completely dedicated to Hogwarts Legacy. Now this was a 20-minute long event with 14 minutes of gameplay, or basically an overview, and then 6 minutes of the developers talking about this game. And you can really see why Sony dedicated a completely standalone event for Hogwarts Legacy. I mean, obviously, Harry Potter is a massive, massive franchise and really one of the biggest franchises of all time. So to hear that there's a new Harry Potter game, that is exciting. But then when you actually see this game, it becomes even more exciting. The overview that they revealed here basically shows that this is a very ambitious title. It's not just some cash grab or anything like that. It seems like the developers put a lot of heart and soul into Hogwarts Legacy. I mean, it really seems like with this game, you're going to be able to insert yourself into an authentic Harry Potter universe. That's going to be like a dream come true for a lot of fans out there, but I mean, you're going to be able to travel across Hogwarts. There's going to be plenty of secrets inside the building, which is something that you would expect for a place like Hogwarts. You're also going to socialize with other characters that goes to school. You're going to partake in different classes. You can also travel outside of Hogwarts itself and even see fantastical beasts in the universe. It really seems like that they've done so much to make this into an authentic Harry Potter experience and really make it truly your own adventure. I think on the world building side of things and just how magical they made this game feel, I think they're doing a fantastic job with that, and there's a lot of nods to Harry Potter fans out there. The combat itself also looks pretty decent, though. It is a little bit flashier than what I would have expected, but overall, I mean, I think this game top to bottom, it looks like a really ambitious and interesting title. Hopefully, it meets those expectations when it releases later this year in the holiday of 2022. Yeah, that's right, they officially confirmed that Hogwarts Legacy is slated for a holiday 2022 release, and this is where the big surprise comes in. So they did announce the platforms, and as we all expected, it is coming to Xbox, PlayStation, and PC, but interestingly enough, Hogwarts Legacy is also coming to the Nintendo Switch. This was completely unexpected, but for those wanting more big third-party support on the Nintendo Switch, well, you definitely got it here with Hogwarts Legacy, and I think that this is actually a really good fit. Yes, it's probably going to be majorly downgraded, but Harry Potter is such a beloved IP, and it's beloved among the younger audience as well. So with Nintendo being so successful with not just older hardcore gamers, but also having a large younger audience, I think that Hogwarts Legacy could actually be a popular pickup for that audience as well. Now, we're still going to have to kind of wait and see the performance of this game on the Switch, though. I will be very interested in seeing just how much this game is downgraded, but it is still cool nonetheless to see a big game like this head over to the Nintendo Switch. Either way, though, as a Harry Potter fan myself, I am very happy with what we're seeing with Hogwarts Legacy. It looks ambitious, it looks fleshed out, it looks just as magical and big as you would hope it to be, and yeah, I'm excited to play this one later this year in 2022. And just as kind of an added little bonus here, they also confirmed that Hogwarts Legacy will not include microtransactions. That is always a good thing in my books. Now, actually, speaking of that, let's go take a look at the poll of the day where I did ask you all about microtransactions. Microtransactions has always been controversial, but at the same time, especially with the inclusion of free-to-play games, I know that a lot of people still do buy microtransactions. So I wanted to ask you all, what is the most you are willing to spend on microtransactions in games? And if you take a look over here, 8% of you said no more than $1, 28% of you said up to $10, 10% said up to $25, 6% up to $40 or even more, that's quite a bit, and then 48% of you said $0, I don't buy microtransactions at all. So technically the winner of this poll here was $0 at 48%, but interestingly enough, that also means that 52% of you all, being the majority, does actually buy microtransactions. And that right there is the precise reason on why companies include microtransactions, because yes, a lot of people do buy microtransactions even if they only spend a few dollars. Now obviously there's an important component to this poll missing, and that is free to play versus paid $60 or even $70 games including microtransactions. It seems like a lot of you all are a lot more willing to buy microtransactions for free-to-play games because that's how they make their money. It makes sense to buy microtransactions in, but it seems like the big problem that much of the community has is when microtransactions are included in premier AAA titles that cost $60 or even $70 in some situations. That seems to be where the community is upset. I think microtransactions, for the most part, has been a lot more accepted when it comes to free-to-play games. Again, that makes sense because that's how they make their money. But when it comes to premier titles that already cost $60 or $70, there's certain expectations for those games, and that's where the controversy truly does lie. It just doesn't sit well with fans. However, based off of this poll here, it does kind of show that, yes, a lot of people very much does buy microtransactions, and that's exactly why we see more companies kind of lean into this direction for their games. Anyways, though, that's it for this episode, but if you liked the video, don't forget to bell notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Also, if you'd like to support the channel through Patreon, thank you for making this content possible. Peace out.